The preface of Atomic Habits by James Clear introduces the concept of atomic habits, which are small, incremental changes that can have a significant impact on our lives over time. Clear argues that while we often focus on big, dramatic changes, it is the small daily habits that ultimately determine our success or failure in any area of life. Clear shares his personal story of overcoming a traumatic brain injury and using small habits to improve his health, relationships, and career. He also draws on research from various fields, including psychology, neuroscience, and sociology, to support his ideas. One key point in the preface is that habits are not just about willpower or motivation, but rather about designing a system that makes it easier to follow through on desired behaviors. Clear calls this the habit loop, which consists of a cue, a routine, and a reward. Overall, the preface sets the stage for the rest of the book, emphasizing the importance of small habits and the power of designing an effective system for behavior change. Chapter 1: The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. In Chapter 1, Clear explains the concept of the plateau of latent potential, which is the idea that significant progress often goes unnoticed because it is happening gradually over time. He argues that small, consistent habits can lead to big changes in our lives, but we often overlook them because they don't produce immediate results. Clear also introduces the concept of habit gravity, which refers to the idea that habits are like gravity, always pulling us towards a certain direction. He suggests that by making small changes to our habits, we can change the direction of our lives. Another key idea in this chapter is the 3 layers of behavior change. Clear suggests that in order to make lasting changes to our habits, we need to focus on changing our identity, changing our systems, and changing our habits. He explains that by focusing on our identity, we can make changes to our habits that are consistent with who we want to be. Overall, Chapter 1 emphasizes the power of small habits and the importance of focusing on gradual progress rather than immediate results. Clear encourages readers to think about the small changes they can make to their habits that will have a big impact over time. Before we continue, we would like to inform you that we release these summaries in audio format on Spotify before we release them on YouTube in video format, with subtitles. We have also created a goldmine of information which you can get exclusive access to by supporting us on Patreon. You get in-depth summaries plus scripts, usually twice the length of our YouTube content, a list of the top 20 key takeaways and exercises, summary requests, and more. Thank you for the support and don't forget to hit the like button. Chapter 2: How Your Habits Shape Your Identity, and Vice Versa. In Chapter 2, Clear explores the relationship between our habits and our identity. He argues that our habits are a reflection of our identity, and vice versa. Our habits can shape our identity over time, and our identity can also influence the habits we form. Clear suggests that by focusing on our identity and the person we want to become, we can create habits that are consistent with that identity. He encourages readers to think about the kind of person they want to be and the habits that person would have, and then work to create those habits in their own lives. Another key idea in this chapter is the concept of identity-based habits. Clear suggests that by focusing on our identity, we can create habits that become part of our identity, leading to lasting change. He provides examples of how this can work in practice, such as someone who wants to become a writer focusing on the habit of writing every day, which can become part of their identity as a writer. Overall, Chapter 2 emphasizes the importance of focusing on our identity and the kind of person we want to become when creating habits. Clear provides practical advice for how to do this, suggesting that readers think about their ideal identity and the habits that person would have. By focusing on our identity, we can create lasting change in our lives by forming habits that are consistent with who we want to be. Chapter 3: How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps. In Chapter 3, Clear outlines a practical framework for building better habits in 4 simple steps. The first step is to make the habit obvious, by creating cues that remind us to take action. This could include setting out our workout clothes the night before, or leaving a book on our bedside table to remind us to read before bed. The second step is to make the habit attractive, by creating a positive association with the behavior. This could involve pairing the habit with something we enjoy, like listening to music while exercising or having a favorite snack after completing a task. The third step is to make the habit easy, by breaking it down into small, manageable steps. This could involve starting with just a few minutes of exercise each day or writing just one sentence per day towards a larger writing goal. Finally, the fourth step is to make the habit satisfying, by creating a sense of reward for completing the behavior. This could involve tracking our progress or celebrating milestones along the way. Overall, Chapter 3 provides a practical framework for building better habits in 4 simple steps. By making our habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, we can create positive feedback loops that reinforce our desired behaviors and lead to lasting change. Chapter 4: The Man Who Didn't Look Right. In Chapter 4, James Clear discusses the importance of environment when it comes to habit formation. He uses the example of a man named Eugene Pauly, who was able to transform his life by changing his environment. Eugene was a drug addict who, after being in prison for a few years, decided to turn his life around. He moved to a new environment, changed his daily routine, and surrounded himself with people who had positive habits. These changes allowed him to break free from his addiction and start a new life. Clear explains that we are heavily influenced by our surroundings and the people we interact with. Therefore, it's important to design our environment in a way that supports our desired habits. This can include things like clearing out clutter, adding cues that remind us of our goals, and surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals. By making small changes to our environment, we can make it easier to stick to our desired habits and achieve our goals. Chapter 5: The Best Way to Start a New Habit. In Chapter 5, Clear provides insights on the best way to start a new habit. He suggests that the key to starting a new habit is to make it small and easy to accomplish. Clear explains that starting small helps to overcome the barrier to entry and establish the habit. Clear also discusses the importance of creating a habit that is aligned with our current identity. He explains that by creating habits that align with our current identity, we can increase our chances of success and create a positive feedback loop. Additionally, Clear emphasizes the importance of focusing on the process rather than the outcome. By focusing on the small daily actions that lead to the desired outcome, we can create a habit that is sustainable and can lead to long-term success. Overall, Chapter 4 provides readers with valuable insights on how to start a new habit. By making the habit small and easy to accomplish, focusing on the process, and aligning the habit with our current identity, we can increase our chances of success and create lasting change in our lives. Chapter 6: Motivation is Overrated, Environment Often Matters More. Chapter 6: Clear challenges the common belief that motivation is the key to success in building good habits. Clear argues that environment often matters more than motivation, as our surroundings have a powerful influence on our behavior. Clear explains that relying solely on motivation can be problematic because it is a fleeting and unreliable emotion. Instead, he suggests that we should focus on creating an environment that supports our desired habits, making it easier for us to take action even when our motivation is low. Clear provides real-life examples of how environment can impact behavior, such as how a simple change in the layout of a cafeteria can influence what people choose to eat. He also discusses how creating a supportive social environment can be a powerful motivator, as we are influenced by the people around us. Overall, Chapter 6 emphasizes the importance of environment in shaping our habits and challenges the idea that motivation is the key to success. By focusing on creating an environment that supports our desired habits, we can make it easier to take action even when our motivation is low. Chapter 7: The Secret to Self-Control. In Chapter 7, Clear explains that the key to self-control is to design your environment so that it supports the habits you want to adopt. He argues that willpower is not enough to sustain long-term behavior change, and that we should focus instead on creating an environment that makes good habits the path of least resistance. Clear suggests 4 strategies for designing an environment that supports good habits. The first is to make the cues for your desired habits obvious and visible, while removing cues for undesired habits. For example, if you want to read more books and watch less TV, you can place books in visible places while keeping the TV remote out of sight. The second strategy is to make the desired behavior attractive. You can do this by adding an element of enjoyment or satisfaction to the habit, or by creating a social aspect to it, such as joining a group of people with the same interest. The third strategy is to make the habit easy to do. This can be achieved by breaking down the habit into smaller steps, simplifying the task or reducing the friction involved in doing it. Finally, Clear suggests making the undesired behavior difficult or unattractive by creating friction around it. This can be done by adding an extra step to the process or making it more time-consuming. In conclusion, designing an environment that supports good habits is crucial for sustained behavior change. By making cues for good habits visible and attractive, while creating friction around bad habits, we can make self-control easier and more effective. Chapter 8: How to make a habit irresistible. In Chapter 8, Clear explains that making a habit irresistible is the key to making it stick. He argues that by associating a habit with a positive emotion, we can make it more attractive and therefore more likely to become automatic. Clear suggests 3 strategies for making a habit irresistible. The first is to create a dopamine hit by adding an immediate reward to the habit. This could be as simple as giving yourself a small treat or doing something you enjoy immediately after completing the habit. The second strategy is to create a positive identity around the habit. By aligning the habit with a positive self-image, we can make it more attractive and motivating. This can be achieved by adopting an I am statement related to the habit, such as I am a writer for someone who wants to write more. The third strategy is to create a sense of progress around the habit. By tracking your progress and celebrating small wins, you can create a sense of momentum and motivation that makes the habit more irresistible. In conclusion, making a habit irresistible involves creating a positive emotion around it. By adding an immediate reward, aligning the habit with a positive identity, and creating a sense of progress, we can make the habit more attractive and easier to maintain over time. Chapter 9: The Role of Family and Friends in Shaping Your Habits. In Chapter 9, Clear explains that our social environment plays a crucial role in shaping our habits. He argues that the people we surround ourselves with can either support or hinder our habit formation, and that it's important to be intentional about who we spend time with. Clear suggests 3 strategies for leveraging our social environment to support our habits. The first is to join a community of people who share the same goal or habit. Being part of a group that supports and encourages each other can make it easier to stick to a habit and make progress. The second strategy is to find an accountability partner. By having someone to report to and share progress with, we can increase our motivation and commitment to the habit. The third strategy is to make our habits more visible and transparent to others. By making our goals and progress public, we can create social pressure and accountability that can help us stick to our habits. Clear also warns of the dangers of negative social influences, such as peer pressure and the influence of family members who may have unhealthy habits. He suggests that in these cases, it may be necessary to create boundaries or limit our exposure to these influences. In conclusion, our social environment plays a significant role in shaping our habits. By intentionally seeking out supportive communities, accountability partners, and making our habits more visible, we can increase our chances of success in habit formation. It's also important to be aware of negative social influences and take steps to limit their impact on our habits. Chapter 10: How to Find and Fix the Causes of Your Bad Habits. In Chapter 10, Clear explains that in order to change our bad habits, we must first identify the underlying causes. He argues that most bad habits are a result of deeper issues or problems, and that addressing those root causes is crucial for sustained behavior change. Clear suggests 4 strategies for finding and fixing the causes of our bad habits. The first is to identify the cue that triggers the habit. By understanding the context and circumstances in which the habit occurs, we can begin to see patterns and identify the root cause. The second strategy is to experiment with alternative responses to the cue. By trying out different behaviors in response to the cue, we can learn what works best and make a plan for changing the habit. The third strategy is to diagnose the underlying craving or desire that drives the habit. By understanding the underlying motivation behind the habit, we can begin to address the deeper issues and make lasting changes. Finally, Clear suggests seeking external support, such as therapy or counseling, for more complex or deeply ingrained habits. In conclusion, identifying and addressing the underlying causes of our bad habits is crucial for sustained behavior change. By identifying the cue, experimenting with alternative responses, diagnosing the underlying craving, and seeking external support if necessary, we can find and fix the root causes of our bad habits and create lasting change. Chapter 11: Walk slowly, but never backward. In Chapter 11, Clear emphasizes the importance of making small and consistent improvements over time. He argues that small habits, when practiced consistently, can lead to significant and long-lasting changes. Clear suggests that rather than focusing on the outcome or goal, we should focus on the system or process that leads to that outcome. By making small improvements to our habits and systems each day, we can achieve remarkable results over time. Clear also emphasizes the importance of patience and persistence in habit formation. He reminds readers that change is a gradual process and that setbacks are inevitable. Instead of giving up when faced with challenges or failures, we should focus on learning from our mistakes and continuing to make small improvements. Finally, Clear suggests that it's important to continually reassess our habits and systems to ensure they are still serving our goals and needs. As we grow and change, our habits may need to evolve as well. In conclusion, making small and consistent improvements over time is the key to sustained behavior change. By focusing on the system or process rather than the outcome, practicing patience and persistence, and regularly reassessing our habits and systems, we can achieve remarkable results over time. Chapter 12: The Law of Least Effort. In Chapter 12, Clear introduces the law of least effort, which states that we tend to choose the easiest option available to us. He argues that by making our desired habits the path of least resistance, we can make them more likely to stick. Clear suggests 3 strategies for applying the law of least effort to our habits. The first is to reduce the number of steps involved in the habit. By making the habit as simple and straightforward as possible, we can increase the likelihood that we will do it. The second strategy is to make the habit accessible and visible. By placing cues for the habit in prominent places, we can increase the likelihood that we will be reminded to do it. The third strategy is to align the habit with our natural inclinations and preferences. By choosing habits that are enjoyable or satisfying to us, we can increase the likelihood that we will continue to do them. Clear also suggests that we can apply the law of least effort to break bad habits by making them more difficult or inconvenient to do. By adding friction to the process, we can make the bad habit less attractive and more likely to fade away. In conclusion, the law of least effort states that we tend to choose the easiest option available to us. By making our desired habits simple, accessible, and aligned with our preferences, we can make them more likely to stick. Similarly, by making bad habits more difficult or inconvenient to do, we can reduce their hold on us. Chapter 13: How to Stop Procrastinating by Using the 2-Minute Rule. In Chapter 13, Clear introduces the 2-minute rule, which states that any habit can be started in just 2 minutes. He argues that by breaking a habit down into its simplest form, we can make it more manageable and easier to start. Clear suggests that when trying to start a new habit, we should focus on the first 2 minutes of the habit. By making it as easy as possible to start, we can overcome the initial resistance to the habit and get started. He also suggests that the 2-minute rule can be applied to procrastination by starting with a 2-minute task related to the task at hand. By starting with a small, manageable task, we can build momentum and overcome the resistance to getting started. Clear also emphasizes the importance of consistency in habit formation. He suggests that it's better to do a small amount of a habit consistently than to do a large amount sporadically. Finally, Clear suggests that the 2-minute rule can be applied to habit stacking, which involves adding a new habit onto an existing one. By linking a new habit to an existing one, we can increase the likelihood that it will become automatic over time. In conclusion, the 2-minute rule suggests that any habit can be started in just 2 minutes. By breaking a habit down into its simplest form and focusing on consistency, we can overcome resistance to getting started and build momentum. The 2-minute rule can also be applied to procrastination and habit stacking to make behavior change easier and more manageable. Chapter 14: How to Make Good Habits Inevitable and Bad Habits Impossible. In Chapter 14, Clear suggests that the key to making good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible is to optimize our environment for success. He argues that by designing our environment to support our desired habits and remove cues for bad habits, we can make behavior change easier and more automatic. Clear suggests 4 strategies for optimizing our environment for success. The first is to make the cues for our desired habits obvious and visible, while removing cues for bad habits. For example, if we want to eat healthier, we can keep healthy food in visible places while keeping junk food out of sight. The second strategy is to design our environment for frictionless action. This means making it as easy as possible to do the desired habit and as difficult as possible to do the bad habit. For example, if we want to exercise more, we can have our workout clothes and equipment ready and accessible, while removing distractions that might interfere with our exercise routine. The third strategy is to use social norms to our advantage. By surrounding ourselves with people who have the same desired habits, we can create a culture of behavior change that makes it easier to stick to our habits. The fourth strategy is to create a system of accountability. By making our habits visible and tracking our progress, we can create a sense of responsibility and motivation that makes it more likely we will stick to our desired habits. In conclusion, optimizing our environment for success is crucial for making good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. By making cues for desired habits obvious and visible, designing for frictionless action, leveraging social norms, and creating a system of accountability, we can create an environment that supports our desired habits and makes behavior change easier and more automatic. Chapter 15: The Cardinal Rule of Behavior Change. In Chapter 15, Clear introduces the cardinal rule of behavior change, which states that the most effective way to change a habit is to focus on the identity behind the habit. He argues that by changing our beliefs about ourselves and our abilities, we can make behavior change easier and more automatic. Clear suggests that our habits are a reflection of our identity, and that in order to change a habit, we must first change our identity. He suggests that we can do this by asking ourselves who we want to be and then adopting habits and behaviors that are in line with that identity. Clear also suggests that the key to changing our identity is to focus on small wins and consistent progress. By making small improvements to our habits each day, we can build momentum and create a new self-image that supports our desired habits and behaviors. Finally, Clear emphasizes the importance of patience and persistence in behavior change. He suggests that it's important to focus on the process and the journey, rather than the outcome or end goal. In conclusion, the cardinal rule of behavior change suggests that the most effective way to change a habit is to focus on the identity behind the habit. By changing our beliefs about ourselves and our abilities, and focusing on small wins and consistent progress, we can create a new self-image that supports our desired habits and behaviors. Patience and persistence are key to sustained behavior change, and focusing on the process rather than the outcome can help us stay motivated and on track. Chapter 16: How to Stick with Good Habits Every Day. In Chapter 16, Clear offers practical strategies for sticking with good habits every day. He argues that the key to sustained behavior change is to create a system of habits that supports our goals and makes behavior change easier and more automatic. Clear suggests 4 strategies for sticking with good habits every day. The first is to create a daily routine that includes the habits we want to establish. By making the desired habits a regular part of our routine, we can make them more automatic and easier to stick with. The second strategy is to practice habit stacking, which involves linking a new habit to an existing one. By doing this, we can make the new habit more automatic and increase the likelihood that we will stick with it over time. The third strategy is to use habit tracking to monitor our progress and hold ourselves accountable. By tracking our habits and celebrating small wins, we can stay motivated and on track. The fourth strategy is to have a plan for dealing with setbacks and obstacles. By anticipating potential challenges and having a plan for how to overcome them, we can stay resilient and keep moving forward. In conclusion, creating a system of habits that supports our goals is crucial for sticking with good habits every day. By creating a daily routine, practicing habit stacking, using habit tracking, and having a plan for dealing with setbacks and obstacles, we can make behavior change easier and more automatic, and achieve sustained behavior change over time. Chapter 17: How an accountability partner can change everything. In Chapter 17, Clear introduces the concept of an accountability partner, someone who helps us stay on track with our goals and holds us accountable for our actions. He argues that having an accountability partner can be a powerful tool for behavior change, as it provides external motivation, support, and feedback. Clear suggests several strategies for finding and working with an accountability partner. The first is to find someone who shares our goals and values, and who is willing to commit to holding us accountable. The second strategy is to establish clear expectations and guidelines for the partnership, including how often we will check in, what kind of feedback we want, and how we will support each other. The third strategy is to establish a system of rewards and consequences that will motivate us to stick to our goals and commitments. By having a stake in our success, we can stay motivated and accountable. Finally, Clear emphasizes the importance of communication and honesty in the accountability partnership. By being open and transparent about our progress and challenges, we can receive the support and feedback we need to stay on track. In conclusion, having an accountability partner can be a powerful tool for behavior change. By finding someone who shares our goals and values, establishing clear expectations and guidelines, establishing a system of rewards and consequences, and communicating openly and honestly, we can stay motivated and accountable for our actions, and achieve sustained behavior change over time. Chapter 18, The Truth About Talent. In Chapter 18, Clear challenges the idea that talent is the primary driver of success. He argues that while natural ability can certainly help, it is not the only factor that determines success. Instead, he suggests that success is largely a product of consistent effort and deliberate practice over time. Clear cites research on expertise and mastery, which suggests that it takes about 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to become an expert in a given field. He emphasizes that deliberate practice involves pushing beyond our comfort zones, seeking feedback and critique, and focusing on improving specific skills or aspects of our performance. Clear also emphasizes the importance of focusing on the process of improvement, rather than the outcome or end goal. By focusing on the process and the progress we are making over time, we can stay motivated and engaged in the work required to achieve mastery. Finally, Clear suggests that success is largely a product of environment and social support. By surrounding ourselves with people who share our goals and values, and who support and challenge us in our pursuit of mastery, we can create an environment that supports our growth and development. In conclusion, while natural ability can certainly help in achieving success, consistent effort and deliberate practice are the primary drivers of expertise and mastery. By focusing on the process of improvement, seeking feedback and critique, and surrounding ourselves with supportive people and environments, we can achieve sustained growth and success over time. Chapter 19, The Goldilocks Rule, How to Stay Motivated in Life and Work. In Chapter 19, Clear introduces the Goldilocks Rule, which states that we are most motivated when we are working on tasks that are just the right level of difficulty. He argues that tasks that are too easy or too difficult are less motivating, as they don't provide the same sense of challenge and progress. Clear suggests several strategies for applying the Goldilocks Rule to our lives and work. The first is to set goals that are specific, measurable, and challenging, but also achievable. By setting goals that are just beyond our current level of ability, we can stay motivated and engaged in the pursuit of growth and development. The second strategy is to focus on the process of improvement, rather than the end goal or outcome. By breaking larger goals into smaller, achievable steps, we can create a sense of progress and momentum that keeps us motivated and engaged. The third strategy is to seek feedback and critique, and to use this information to adjust our approach and improve our performance. By learning from our mistakes and seeking out new challenges, we can continue to grow and develop our skills and abilities. In conclusion, the Goldilocks Rule suggests that we are most motivated when we are working on tasks that are just the right level of difficulty. By setting specific, measurable, and challenging goals, focusing on the process of improvement, and seeking feedback and critique, we can stay motivated and engaged in the pursuit of growth and development. Chapter 20, The Downside of Creating Good Habits. In Chapter 20, Clear explores the potential downsides of creating good habits. He argues that while good habits can have many benefits, they can also lead to complacency, stagnation, and a lack of growth and development. Clear suggests several strategies for avoiding these potential downsides of good habits. The first is to focus on continuous improvement, rather than simply maintaining the status quo. By seeking out new challenges and opportunities for growth, we can continue to develop and improve our skills and abilities. The second strategy is to stay flexible and adaptable in the face of changing circumstances. By being open to new ideas and approaches, and willing to adjust our habits as needed, we can continue to grow and develop over time. The third strategy is to balance our focus on good habits with a healthy dose of experimentation and risk-taking. By taking calculated risks and trying new things, we can push beyond our current level of ability and continue to grow and develop our skills and abilities. In conclusion, while good habits can have many benefits, they can also lead to complacency and a lack of growth and development. By focusing on continuous improvement, staying flexible and adaptable, and balancing our focus on good habits with experimentation and risk-taking, we can avoid these potential downsides and continue to grow and develop over time. Conclusion: the secret to results that last. In the conclusion of Atomic Habits, James Clear summarizes the key points from the book and provides a final set of recommendations for creating habits that last. Clear emphasizes the importance of focusing on small, incremental improvements, rather than trying to make large changes all at once. He suggests that by breaking larger goals into smaller, achievable steps, we can build momentum and make sustained progress over time. Clear also emphasizes the importance of tracking our progress and using feedback and critique to adjust our approach as needed. By being aware of our habits and behaviors, and actively working to improve them, we can achieve sustained growth and development over time. Finally, Clear emphasizes the importance of creating an environment that supports our habits and goals. By surrounding ourselves with people who share our goals and values, and by creating systems and structures that support our desired habits, we can create a more positive and supportive environment for sustained behavior change. In conclusion, Atomic Habits provides a comprehensive framework for creating habits that last. By focusing on small, achievable steps, tracking our progress, and creating a supportive environment, we can achieve sustained growth and development over time, and ultimately achieve the results we desire.